So 9 minutes left of Monday, but already jumping on Tuesday's study. While there's still a little caffeine in me, tomorrow I will not because I've got to get up really, really early Wednesday. And so, and I just did the Monday study. The Monday study is 43 minutes. There is a timestamp in the video. So what that means is when you click the Monday study,
All right, so brother.
and you go down to the description, if you just click that 908, it takes you right to where I finished up. And if tonight's is lengthy, I will do the same. And if you request it, I will do it in all the videos. But nobody requested it, so far I won't. But for Mondays, I encouraged a lot of people on Facebook. I sent it to somebody that is handling my book, and I felt like the visuals would help understand book number 2, which is this whole comprehensive end time study. I also put down in there the end times playlist.
All right.
And it's 9 videos deep. All right. So let's go with Matthew 12, 33 through 41, which is column 2, synced up as this study is, though we did borrow a verse from column 3, but we wanted to complete the Revelation study. We wanted to do it in 2 days from beginning to end. Either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. That's exactly what God does. Sheep are born lost. They get to call. Goats are born goats. We today have no idea who is who. And not while they're walking around, not while they're alive. I used to be a pagan Rome world religion astrologer. If you would have took a snapshot of me then, the drinking, the occasional, which is now legal, funny cigarettes, or water bong, or whatever it was from the 70s all the way through, or a volcano where you get nothing but vapor, no tar. All of that ended for me at the calling, we'll just say. And then I got a stronger calling in 2017, which brought me to the truth that there is no free will. And that's when you're actually in the truth. That's when you're fully called. That's when you're called. But I got called out of the world starting in, well, I'll just tell you, 2012. And I will not confirm nor deny if I was smoking funny cigarettes or anything of the sort up until that time, legally or illegally. For the tree is known by its fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things. An evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. Well, I can tell you, in my mind, I never was evil. But, if you're practicing astrology, you're definitely delving into the evil world. I had my demons, for sure. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. So it's all about judgment, which is our powerful revelation study that we have done 11 times previous in the playlist. This is our 12th revelation study. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. So once you die, that's the end of your ticket. If the Lord did not call you, that means you were never his, where Jesus says, I never knew you. Though many will claim him by name, we know of the Bible verse, they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, that Jesus said. And we know that in Matthew 7:21 through 23, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, haven't we done all these amazing things in your name? And at the end of that 3-verse passage, he says, I never knew you. So though they claimed him, they never got the proper call to proper repentance, to come out of the world, to be set apart. And 99.999% of the church is lost today, and they will get called from every single world religion on the earth, including the fake one, the fake ones that bear his name, either by way of pagan Rome or the fake protesters of pagan Rome, which they still teach free will and celebrate Christmas, which is all of pagan Rome. Then certain of the scribes and Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. But he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. For Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Now, in the time of the Jewish religion, and still to this day, 1 minute of daylight counts as day. 1 minute of night counts as night. Did Jesus actually die on a Friday and rise on a Sunday? I believe it so. I've seen it taught that it was a Thursday to Sunday. Sounded good at the time. I believe it was Friday to Sunday, which counted for the 3 days. Fridays 1, Saturdays 2, Sundays 3. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so I already read that. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonas, and behold, a greater than Jonas is here. All right, now we're going to move over to finish our Revelation study. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Remember, faith is the proper call, followed by the proper walk. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. So this is going to be the false prophet, just like Elijah, who made fire come down from heaven to the earth in the sight of men. Elijah made fire come down from the heaven to the earth. It's 2 Kings 1:10. So the false prophet is mimicking this prophet Elijah. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, If I be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. So I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. This is the false prophet that will mimic him at Revelation 13:13. We're at verse 11 right now. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein, to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So this is the second time back at verse 3 where it talks about a deadly wound that we showed you yesterday in yesterday's study at Zechariah 11:17. We showed you the and it's again deadly wound, but did live is at this verse 12 and will be again at verse 14. And that's what this is all about. That's the strong delusion that the Antichrist, which nobody knew he was the Antichrist when he died. He's only the Antichrist when he rises for the earth to see and proclaims that he has risen from the dead. This deadly wound was healed. It's mentioned 3 times for a reason, to make sure you get the point that that's what the strong delusion is. So if we go to, I always like to go through 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I think it's 1 through 11, if not 1 through 9. God shall send them a strong delusion that they will believe a lie. And we also want to really cover we're in Matthew 24. And we just go, I'd say 15 through 37 for now. And again, this is known as the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. And one thing we didn't do because we were pinched for time is if we go to Daniel 9:27, that's what Jesus is referring to. Now, it's spoken of more than once in Daniel, but here's the word abominations and the word desolate. Okay. And he shall cause and sacrifice the oblation to cease. For the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consumption, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. It's very cryptic language. There's those 3 verses of 25, 26, and 27, if I'm not mistaken, are some of the 3 hardest verses that I've ever tried to unpack, because in my opinion, it bounces back and forth between Christ and the Antichrist. I think in verse 25 and 26, it speaks to Jesus's death and then the death of the Antichrist. And all in the same verse, like it's going back and forth. It's very difficult. And again, let God be true and every man a liar. That is just my best opinion on that. So this is what Jesus is speaking to when he says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. So he's going to be in that temple that we showed you in yesterday's study and Monday's study. Whosoever readeth, let him understand. And now y'all understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him which be on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, because everybody's going to be possessed, and they are going to be coming for the sheep with superpowers. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye, talking about breastfeeding. So it's very figurative language. It's to the point. It's painting a picture in the Old King's English through the original Greek. The English language did not come about until about the 1100s. Everything was Greek. That's why Hollywood did a movie called Lost in Translation. You have to go to the Greek to figure it all out. But pray ye that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day, because he's speaking directly to the Jew. And that's the only reason he mentions Sabbath. It is figurative, cryptic speech, because he's speaking to his remnant that are there, keeping the Torah. They don't have anything to do per yesterday's study. That matches Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, which I have to be very careful about. That's why I just read them point blank yesterday. For then shall be great tribulation. And we know in Acts 14:22, which is my phone number. Yikes. It says, for the sheep, we, sheep, must, through much tribulation, enter the kingdom. So the great tribulation is this final cattle call, so to speak, of all the lost sheep on the earth. Not literally cattle, literally a sheep call by the shepherd. Okay. And so the great tribulation, like I say, 99.999% of the church is lost today. It's not people that go into a building that claim his name today, though I think the same percentage of them will be called out of those fake religions that bear his name, along with Far Eastern, Middle Eastern, all of them, atheism, New Ageism, all of it. It's my opinion. Let God be true and every man a liar. Thank you. It just makes sense. If you're handed over to a false religion, you're handed over to a false religion. Again, it's no fault of yours. You're just accountable. Doesn't sound fair. You have to read Romans 9:11 through 24. Paul explains the fairness of it. Even has a verse there where he says, I can't remember for some reason. My mind went blank. My mind's all in this, I guess. I do have the brain fog. It's late. I will be rough tomorrow on no caffeine and doing a short shoot with sleeping in and then having to go to bed early. But what is it he says? Let me pause for a second and get it together. Sorry. So anyway, the earth is going to get their spiritual calling, and they're about to go through the great tribulation, because all sheep must suffer tribulation. You must be hated by the world. You cannot be accepted by general society. And of course, when all the goats are possessed, we don't know who they are. When all the goats are possessed, it is going to be a bloodbath. And Jesus says, such as was not since the beginning of the entire earth to this time, nor shall ever be. And of course, you're at the end times anyway. Again, lots of figurative speech, making a point. And except those days be shortened. What days? Well, when it speaks of 42 months or 3.5 years or 1,260 days, it actually comes down to 3.5 days, in my opinion, per what we did when we went through the Revelation 11 study. Let God be true and every man a liar on that. That's just my opinion. So the days are going to be cut short that are listed in the Bible that the Antichrist would have rule, which is 1,260 days, 3.5 years, or 42 months. And except those days be shortened, there should be no sheep flesh be saved. There shall no flesh be saved. But he's talking about the sheep. But for the elect's sake, the sheep, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is the Christ, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Christs, and you see it's plural, and false prophets, and you see it's plural. But when you look it up in the Greek, it's singular. So there shall arise the false Christ, Antichrist, seemingly having returned from the dead, and the false prophet is going to be performing lying signs and wonders and miracles, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, Jesus says, they shall deceive the very elect. But of course, the elect have the Holy Spirit, and they will not be deceived. But again, he's giving figurative language. Now we're going to compare and contrast this with 2 Thessalonians Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and the gathering together unto him, talking about the final removal of the church, coming to Jesus in the cloud, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as for us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. And that day of Christ also goes back to, remember, Revelation is the same story being told over and over because it's what John saw in his vision in order. It's not how it all works in order. And at the sixth seal is when it's at the end that he's speaking to, that great day. So when he says, as the day of Christ is at hand, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day of Christ shall not come except there be a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So he's going to reveal himself, and he's going to be saying he's come back from the dead, the deadly wound to the right eye. And the falling away is all the earth worshiping the image of the beast. So all these humans, which, what type of, since it's a narrow way, do you think it's like 5% of the earth's population is the sheep that get the call, the 99.999% that are lost? But what's that percentage of the earth's entire population? Well, your guess is as good as mine, but it's clearly stated that it's a narrow way and few be that find it. So is it out of 8 billion that they tell us, is it just 1 million people? Because at the end, they save 144,000. How quickly in 3.5 days can you kill? Well, you can kill very, very quickly because they're going to be standing next to each other in your household. Because I think after World War III, then all the electricity is going to come back on. Cell phones will go back working. People will be able to make an app on their cell phone, whatever it takes to worship the image of the beast. It'll all be done spiritually. That cell phone will be like a Ouija board. Somebody's computer will be like a Ouija board. Your laptop, your cell phone, whatever. When you, just like playing with a Ouija board that Reagan was entered in the movie The Exorcist, it is by that type of situation that they will enter and possess all goats. Well, what if you have a sheep in the household? And of course, there will be. You know, it says, oh my God, I know what's happening. And you see your loved ones going through this supernatural hypnotic state where they're just going to be enthralled by this false prophet and all the miracles. And again, the earth is, I don't think I said it in the Monday video, but the earth is extremely supernatural at this point. And that's why we read he's going to be showing great signs and wonders that if it were possible, even the sheep would be fooled. Because the earth is supernatural, and we're going to get into how it's supernatural. We might as well continue reading and back in Revelation 13. And he doeth great wonders where he maketh, well, let me read 12. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders. Okay, so the earth is supernatural at this point. So that he make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. He's going to be allowed to do this because it says in 2 Thessalonians, for this cause God shall send them a strong delusion that they shall believe a lie. What's the lie? That he's risen from the dead. So it's referred to as a strong delusion. So let's go ahead and start reading this in 2 Thessalonians 2, talking about that day of Christ. Oh, I was going to read it in Revelation 6, so let's do that. So that day of the Lord is here, and I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. That's the beginning of the end for the fallen angels and the goats that are possessed. Whether the humans are even still alive inside their body that is completely possessed, the fallen angels are using the human body as an avatar, basically. At some point, they will die off. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth, and that's why James Bond, the movie Skyfall, and Adele's song is basically Satan thanking everybody for sticking in there until the end. And it's the eeriest Skyfall lyrics. It begins with, "This is the end." And talking about when it crumbles, Skyfall is where we start. And let the sky fall. When it crumbles, we will stand tall and face it together. When I first would watch that video, it was extremely emotional because I knew what I was seeing and reading. Let's find it on the YouTube. Adele, Skyfall opening. So it said Dell, and we're going to spell her name right. And of course, she won Best Picture because that's how the Oscars roll. Adele, Skyfall opening credits, I think, is the best search. And of course, he's saved by the Yoni. The divine feminine hand signal comes down and grabs him. And so you're going to get some serious copyright strikes if you go more than 6 seconds, 7 seconds, they got you. And but you will see Bond come down and the divine feminine 666 Yoni hand signal. It's the Yoni. The 666 is the Yoni, and the Yoni is 666.